Welcome back, DIYers. This time I will show you how to build your own acoustical panels. These acoustical panels aren't very hard to build, and I think they're very good DIY projects, even if you're just a beginner. I have a large room in here and there's a lot of acoustical reflections. So what these panels will help me do is absorb some of this energy that's coming out of these speakers that's going to reflect off these walls and affect my listening position. So by adding these acoustical panels, it will enhance your listening experience in your home theater or your stereo setup. Because these panels absorb acoustical energy, they'll make for a quieter room and a quieter house. The construction is not that hard. The major things you'll need is a table saw, a nail gun, staple gun, hammer, tape measure, and a pencil. Also supporting materials, I used absorption material. It is Rockboard 60. It is a 2x4 size. I used Joanne fabrics. It was very cheap compared to purpose-built acoustical material. And for the back fabric, I used landscaping lining and backer fabric from Joanne as well. Both were great. For the frame, I used plywood and the nail gun to keep everything together. The frame construction of these pieces, it's not very complicated. Here's a diagram of my frame, how I built it, and the dimensions of it. It's a simple construction. I think it works very well, and as long as you can rip a piece of plywood, you should be able to build these super fast and easy. If you want some more information on this, please check out my website. So check out my description for a complete list of tools and materials that I use for this. And now let's get to building these things.
Here I'll rip the plywood to 2 3/4 inches wide. And in here, mark your length for your frame pieces and cut to size. For a corner brace, you don't have to be exact at all. Just get your extra pieces and just cut them in 45-degree angles like I'm showing you here. Give the pieces a light sanding. The assembly is pretty simple. I used 18-gauge brad nails with my nail gun and glue to hold everything together. And I use clamps to secure my pieces so I can nail them together. It goes pretty quick once you get the hang of it. Also, you can use the exact same technique I'm using with the nail gun here with your screw gun and use screws. Just make sure to pre-drill your holes, then screw in your pieces. It will work out just as well as my nail gun. Give the pieces a light sanding.
Put the backing first. I haven't seen anybody do this before. But here's what I'll do. Get a sharp knife and cut it out. So we're gonna start to staple the front face material. I did a very quick installation of the backing material as you saw earlier, and I think that's the fastest way to put this backing material on without having to staple it after I do this step. I have laid out my material on the floor. It's good to work on a carpet because it gives you a nice smooth surface. I'm gonna start folding this thing over. So I'm using a staple gun with a 1/2-inch staples. Hold tight, and you put a staple on it as far back as possible. So I'm going to put a few kind of staples in here, stretch it nice, and make sure it's tight here, there's no creases, just give it a nice little tight tug. We'll just put a few holders in here. Put a few staples on this side, so come here, do the same thing and pull it tight, so it gets nice and tight on the front. Once you have tacked it on, tightening the whole thing up and putting staples all around. So here's how I'll do the corner here. So pull it tight. will put a staple right here. Pull it nice and tight like this. And that's how I do the corner. Here's a close-up of the corner. And it's looks pretty good. Basically, that's how I'm gonna continue the rest of the piece. So I have stapled the whole thing, the whole backing. And before I go ahead and cut out all the pieces, I have a lip here, 3/4 of an inch. And if you cut it too short here, this will kind of tend to stick out sometimes. So what I'll do is I'll fold it over a little bit and put a few staples in here. Then I'll cut it out. So when you put this against the wall, you don't see the ruffle. Nail them a little bit closer to the edge here. Get that hammer in there. It looks really good. There's no creases, edges are really good. Okay, so this is my final product here. It looks like a solid piece of block. It is super smooth. There's no creases. This is the corner here. Came out really sleek, really nice. Make sure to give the piece a good, pull and tug. Come out super nice, just like this one. That wasn't that bad, was it? I think that was a very easy and satisfying project. I did a few mistakes with the first panel, so make sure to pull the fabric a little bit tighter. Also for the corners, you kind of get the hang of it after the first one, and I think they're not too important because they're either going to be on top or on the bottom, and nobody's really going to be walking up the top like this. Panel didn't take me too long to make, maybe 30-40 minutes per panel because I'm slow and I'm using a manual stapler. I think they came out looking great. This one especially is super solid, very flat. There's absolutely no creases in it. So I'll probably mount them on the wall and they'll look even better by themselves just sitting on the wall. The back turned out pretty great. This is the landscaping mesh that I used. I didn't have to staple anything on the mesh. And check out the description of the video for the complete list of tools and materials that I use for this build. Check out the website for the schematic. So if you like this video, please like it and subscribe. I really appreciate that and it motivates me to make more videos like this. And I hope to see you all next time. Happy building. Take care.